Hi, my name is Tim. I'm Senior Application Specialist at HRSoft. In today's webinar, we will have a look at something we call custom scope properties. This is matrix data that can be stored in your files, but not as a custom property. With me today, I have my wingman, the sales manager, Mr. Francois Simon, who will answer your questions. You can use the chat box in the GoToWebinar panel. I will make room after the session for more questions to let you follow the presentation better. We expect this webinar to be pretty quick, and it should take somewhere in the range of 10 minutes, actually, to cover as an overview. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available online later on. Okay, let's get started. So, what is custom scope properties? Well, kind of hard to explain, but I will try, and I'm going to show you as well. It is a set of properties which are not readable in the file properties. It is more like a set of data that is being used in downstream processing or as an extended set of properties. We almost have the same type of control elements as in the regular set of properties. We can, for instance, add a work process to any given file, and you will see this live shortly. This data can then be included when you run an export to Excel or to an ERP system. In there, it could be accessed to list process cost estimates, as well as return real cost values found in the ERP system, if they exist. And please note that this webinar is meant as a Be Inspired webinar. I will not show configuration of profile or anything else here. If you want to learn how to do this, I'm happy to share the profile used. Just leave a comment and we will make it happen. And I also want to accredit Raj, who submitted this assembly that we are going to use. This was downloaded from GrabCAD. But there is no time to waste. Let's bring it on. So opening up SolidWorks, and I will use custom tool search to find the assembly. This one. Now we're going to imagine that I have a design team as well as a production facility, and this piston rod and head is going to be manufactured in-house, and there are some components which are purchased outside. But how do you capture all of that information in your files? I mean, maybe that is nice to know for the ERP system. So the ERP system do not have to start typing in and making all of these decisions. So what we can do is we can start working on this piston head. So I'm going to open that one. And then I'm going to add all of these custom scope properties. So I'll just go into the properties right away. And I'm going to make a decision here. Is this a make or is it a buy component? If I select buy, I will have a purchasing lookup. And if I select the make, I will have a different lookup for these applications. So which processes are required to actually perform and manufacture this piston head? Well, this is what we can add as properties to the file, not as properties that you can see in the document properties, but in the third-party storage. You will get to understand that in a few minutes. So here is where I'm going to add processes. Now, the first thing that I need would be a human process. The labor type could be maybe I need to set it up for machining. And that could be 0.1 hour. Hit OK for that, and then add a new one. So the next process or operation for this one is a machine process. And in this case, that would be perhaps CNC saw. That is going to run for 0.1 as well. Then I need to take this raw bar and move it to a machine. So that would be a human process, and that would be item handling. And that would be 0.1 as well. This is just my estimates. At some point, we need to start manufacturing this. But before I can do that, I need a human process again, because I need someone to program this. So I'm going to define CNC programming, 0.5 hours. And then a new process, this time it's a machine process. This is going to be run on a middle turn, and this is going to run for maybe, that's optimistic. Let's set 1 hour. And I could go on and on and on and add all the processes that I would like. But I guess you see the picture at this point now. So these are all estimates made by the engineer. You could call it pure guess, or it could be a qualified guess. So now we have like an idea how many processes are involved to create this piston head, as well as a time estimate. So I'm going to hit OK and save this file. For simplicity, I'm going to run an export on this piston head alone. So here I have my standard Excel report, as you know. But when we use custom scope data, we are actually available, or we can make available all of these properties that we read from the file. So we can see all the processes that are required, and we can use different lookup lists. So in the interface, I was selecting mill turn, for instance. This may have a labor key in our ERP system, and we can then return that value. And we may have a labor class as well, and we can return that value as well. So we can have all of these keyed values that we add as a property when we just select a readable text. And you could have basically whatever you would need for that. Now I can run the export, but I'm not going to. I want to do that from the assembly file itself. But during this, I can actually, if this part file exists in my ERP system, I could actually retrieve the registered labor time. So I would have an idea if I was guessing completely wrong, and I could actually do this to make pretty decent quotes for a given process. So I'm going to close that one, and I'm going to return to the assembly file and show the export from in here instead. As you can see, we have quite a lot of processes added. I didn't add all the ones that you would need, but just to give you an idea of what is actually going to happen in the Excel report. There is, for instance, this guy. This is a board component. No, that's not that one. It's actually this one. So this is an assembly we're going to buy. That is a decision that I made. So this is a purchase item. So basically, I don't need that in full in my export. So I have a top level part, a sub-assembly, and 2 sub-components. So before I run the export, I'm going to show you another thing that we actually are capable of when you get a new version of custom tools. And that is to utilize the settings that you have for a file. So here I can select the child component should be hidden. If I'm using this one assembly in a top level, then I don't care about all of the components found in it because it's a purchase component, right? So now I can do that and go back to my assembly and run the export again. And now this is going to be stripped away, so I only see the top level as a single and sole component. And here it is purchased, so I call it log rings, but you can have as many groups as you want. So yeah, you get the picture. And I'm going to run the export, and this one exists, so yeah, go ahead and update that. And from here on, it's actually just basic custom tools. You have seen this, I guess, a lot of times already. If it's going to work, else I have to crash it and start it again. Okay, it's coming up now. Good. Opening on a different screen, and here it is. So this is how the export is going to look like, and we can export to Excel, CSV, text file. We can export directly to your ERP system and create all of these items, and if they exist, update them, or we could bring in whatever values are found in ERP into to this report as well. How is that useful? Well, it's useful in actually many applications. You can, of course, use it for the export. If you want to really track your process, are you good at quoting your files, your part files, then this is a good way of actually following the steps and making quotes. If you want to document all the processes required to make a file, then this could be an addition to that as well. So the custom scope is like a lot of data you can push into your files, and they are not readable. You cannot put these into a drawing header, for instance, but they are process related in some way, shape, and form. So I hope that is making some kind of sense. And actually, that is all that I have to show for you today. I already ran beyond the 10-minute mark, I guess. Our next webinar will be defining customer-specific custom properties. And this is another overlooked feature we have in custom tools. This is going to take place on October 12th at the same time as today. We are open for questions when the recording is stopped, but first I want to thank you all for attending this webinar and hope to see all of you for the next one. Thank you and have a nice day.
We are in the life-saving business. We kill your routines before they kill you.